Welcome to the DME PrepZone show presented by Bevill State. I'm Johnathan Bentley, joined with my co-host, Zach McCullar. We're getting close to the end of the season here, Zach.
Yeah, I mean,
it's depressing,
flown
right?
by, yeah. Oh, you wait all that time for football season, but you think, high school football season, if you don't count the playoffs, it's just 11 weeks out of a year, and we're at, week 8 now?
Yeah, we have some teams have 2 games left. Curry.
Yeah, Curry's, they take bye week last week, so,
Yeah, that's
we're going to have to say goodbye to the Yellow Jackets here in a
They will be the
couple
first
weeks.
ones.
They will be the first people that we don't pick.
And we're halfway through college.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast this thing goes by.
It'll be basketball season before you know it.
And then we'll be starting baseball season.
We're going through all the
Yeah, we're going through every sport. Yeah. We have enough sports to keep us tied up all year long.
But we'll focus on football today, hopefully.
For today.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of change things up this week. We're going to start with a review of last week's games.
That's good.
We had some real stinkers in there, as usual.
But we did have good games in there as well. We had 2 games that were one possession. Corner beating Oak Grove 20-12.
Surprising.
And then even more surprising than that was Cordova nearly upsetting Northside. The Rams would go on to win 20-19.
I hate that. You know, what's weird about Cordova, almost all their games that's close comes down to extra points.
It's always close.
Make some extra points so you can win this game.
You got to go out, just recruit kickers. Hey, if you can kick, show up at practice, go throughout the whole county, just do that. Yeah, extra points is something that nobody expects to see in high school football.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, last week we were at the Marion County Sumiton Christian game, and there was a personal foul on the touchdown. Sumiton Christian wanted it enforced on the extra point. So they were kicking the extra point from 35 yards out and make it.
He made it.
He made it right
Marion
down the
County
middle.
It's a 1A. It's impressive.
Yeah, and they wouldn't kick a field goal.
Huh, but, I went to a Cordova game when they beat Oakman 5 for 5 extra points.
That's pretty good.
Should have saved some of those. They are the best 2-win team in the state, maybe.
Probably in the state, yes, definitely.
Not a bad team. But, Meek shut out Shoals Christian. I was there for a little while. It was 50-0 at halftime.
Oof.
There's some bad teams around here, you know?
Yeah, Shoals Christian's not that great. They're 2-4 though. That's not a
That's
terrible
good for them.
record. That's pretty good for Shoals Christian.
Speaking of bad, Brilliant hasn't won a game this year. Lynn 45-6. Lynn and Meek are just really good. We'll talk about them in a little while.
I didn't expect Lynn to be this quality team this year.
Not after I think they had 1 or 2 wins last year.
Right. They were 2-8 and didn't look excellent. Mark
Good
Hastings
coach.
turned it around in a heartbeat.
He always does. Let's talk about the player of the week. It was just one this week,
right,
since the guy had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, you have to put him.
It was Rosenfeld, and since he came back, they've been pretty good.
They have.
It's a different team. Really.
It's been a completely different team. That shows how valuable he is. They are 4-0 since he's been back, ain't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 4 in a row.
He goes 15 of 22, 204 yards, 3 touchdowns with 1 interception. Also gets 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns. That's 30 points. And Jasper only scored 57. I say only, but he scored more than half of their points on the night. It's ridiculous the impact that he's having.
That was a bad game. I thought that'd be a little bit closer.
I did too, because Carver's not that bad a team.
Yeah, they had the same record, I believe.
Yeah, they were.
And now Jasper's in a good spot.
They are.
I would have never thought that a couple weeks ago.
They could crack with the top 5 here for the area.
Yeah, they really could. All right, Zach, let's talk about our high school power rankings this week.
Well, I said that Jasper could crack our rankings earlier, and I have them sitting at number 5 here. 4 straight wins, looked impressive, so they're one of the hottest teams in the county as well. I didn't really see anybody else that could beat them out for that spot, maybe Winston County or Dora, but I've got Jasper sitting firmly at 5 right now. Could change this week, but I'm going to put the Vikings there.
Well, speaking of Dora, that's who I do have at 5.
Okay.
If they play, that would be a heck of a game, actually.
Oh, I bet that would be a really good game.
It's a
I'd
shame
like to
they
see
don't.
that.
But Dora, I think they've turned the corner.
They have.
With these last 2 games, they scored over 40 points. So, okay. So who do you have at number 4?
At 4, I've got Addison. They've looked impressive at times, and at other times, not so much. I'm going to keep the Bulldogs there, though. They are finally ahead of Winston County, though, who beat them. But, Winston County hasn't looked impressive, so I'm going to put Addison up ahead.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot now, Winston County, which is off. I think we both had them in the top 5 for weeks.
Yeah, they have been
now.
For a good long time.
But I have Corner at 4, and they struggled last week.
Yeah.
I'm going to chalk that up to rivalry game. But, they're still sitting there. Who would ever thought they'd be in this position? They've done a great job this year.
They have. They've been amazing. Gavin Brown a lot of that. Sitting at number 3 is corner for me. For the same reasons you just said. Last week, not impressive, but chalk that up to rivalry. And I'm quoting you here, but corner, they're impressive. They're only at 1 loss, and I mean, that was to Northside, which is something that you can't help. And honestly, they could have beat Northside.
It's a tie game at halftime.
Yeah, and they made some mistakes in the second half, like lateraling the ball in the wrong direction. And, I mean, they could have pulled that one out, but I'm going to have them firmly at 3. Addison could take over the 3 spot if corner doesn't look more impressive.
Addison did take over the 3 spot.
They did. Oh, for
here.
you.
Yeah, yes, they did.
You're on the other side of the room.
Yeah, I mean, set off the last week, but still, I mean, they're in the playoffs. They've only lost to county teams, which is crazy. But yeah, they're really good, and I think they could be poised for a playoff run.
They're always poised for a playoff run.
Yeah, that's true.
Why should this year be any different?
All right, who do you have at 2? I think we have the top 2.
Yeah, we have the same top 2, I'll
always.
bet. Lynn is number 2. They've been extremely impressive as of late. I mean, they beat Brilliant 45-6 last week. True, Brilliant is pretty terrible. But
bad year. Yes.
Yeah, but Lynn is, I mean, they're looking a lot better. They are poised for a pretty long playoff run as well.
But Kel Tittle did not run the ball. This is how bad they beat Brilliant. He passed the ball 4 times and ran the ball 0. And they won a lot to a little.
That's where
46-8?
That's where if you're Lynn, you just gotta let your quarterback play for a little bit, then put him on the sideline. You don't want him to get hurt. You've got another, kind of a cupcake game this week with Barry, but I mean,
very similar. Probably.
Yeah, you have to save him for the playoffs.
Speaking of cupcakes, our number 1 team, Meek, has a cupcake again.
Oof, they playing Vina.
I mean, Deaver had 4 carries for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I think he's going to need about 2 carries to get 300 yards in this game.
It's a shame they're playing these teams like this because he's not even able to play much.
Exactly, because, I mean, like I said, do you want to save him for the playoffs or in this case save him for their big game to end the year at Oakman?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
so Meek is amazing. 1 as usual. So, I mean, that's...
Yeah, we're so used to Meek being number 1.
Yeah. All right, so, okay, let's do it. What teams are not in the playoffs so far that are eliminated out of our 11?
I would say that Carbon Hill and Curry are no chance getting in. I mean, Carbon Hill winless, Curry's 2 wins, none of those in the region.
Right.
I mean, so they're both not going to make it. I mean, that's the plainest way to say it. Summoning Christian's probably out. It would take a lot of chaos in their bracket to make it. Winston County has surprisingly not made it official, but I would be pretty surprised if they don't make it to the playoffs.
They got to win one of these last couple games.
And Cordova, I mean, could they make the playoffs? I mean, I don't know if it's still possible.
They would have 4 region losses.
Yeah, they are. I mean, looking at what they've got left, they have 2 region games left.
I think they'll win out.
I do too. I mean, the last game against Carver is going to be tough, but I mean, they could finish the season 5-5.
And Summoner Christian could go 6-4 and miss the playoffs.
They could, yeah. I mean, and Oakman could go 3-7 and make the playoffs.
They will.
I mean,
believe that.
Yeah, I mean, region's important. That's why I don't like the new college football playoff with the 12 teams, but I'm not going to get into that for now. But, I mean, and teams that have clinched it, you have a list here. Jasper, Meek, Lynn, Dora, Corner, Addison, and Oatman. None of those teams really surprised me from looking at it heading into the season. Kind of surprised after seeing how Jasper and Oatman. Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. Yeah. Jasper and Oatman, after seeing how they started the season, it's a little bit surprising to sit here and say that they've clinched it. I think Oatman was the first team in our area to clinch a playoff win.
Yeah, they took care of the teams they were supposed to. Carbon Hill, Tarrant, and Midfield.
I mean, yeah, that region is Gordo, Winfield, Fayette, everybody else, and Oatman swept everybody else.
That's the thing. You got to beat those other 3.
You just got to beat the other 3.
They did what they were supposed to do. All right, so let's go into picks this week. We have a huge game, top of the list here. And some bad games down at the bottom. But Dora at Northside.
That's going to be a really good game. It's at Northside, but Dora, like you say, they're defensive-minded ball club, and defense still wins championships. Thus saying, it would seem fitting for me to pick Dora. Alas, I shall not. I've got the Rams winning this one. Home field advantage. I do think it's going to be a lot closer than most people think, though.
Well, I mean, you can't do this, but I always do. Dora beat Cordova at Cordova by 3 touchdowns.
Right.
Cordova should have had lost to Northside by one. So Dora should trounce Northside.
Exactly.
But I'll take them to win. I think it'll probably be really close.
Yeah.
Okay, Jasper at John Carroll. This is a pretty easy pick.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, and you like to see area teams get wins. Looks like we're going to have a lot of liking in this game because John Carroll, the Cavaliers, 1-6. To say the least, they have looked pretty bad this year. Jasper, on the other hand, their 4-game win streak, make it 5.
About to be 5-3.
Yeah, that's a pretty good record.
What about this game? Midfield at Carbon Hill.
Well,
1-5 midfield, 0-7 Carbon Hill.
And you say midfield 1-5. That's because they beat Tarrant by 20.
Should that even
This
count?
is Carbon Hill's homecoming.
Oh.
So this is interesting. Is Carbon Hill fueled by homecoming to go out and win? Or are they too beat up from getting trounced 62-0 at Winfield? Winfield being a pretty big rival. Are you just too deflated to pull this out, or is it emotional?
I went deflated. I picked midfield.
So did I.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm picking midfield.
Well,
honestly,
I think Tarrant next week, I like their chances.
Oh, I like Carbon Hill's chance. Carbon Hill can go 1-9. And, that's not great considering you've been 4-6 or 4-7 for the past 4 years. But, next year could be different. They're rebuilding this year, and they'll be rebuilding again next year. But Carbon Hill's, they're poised to make a good run in the future.
Yeah, we kind of hope they would this year. All right, this is another tough game for Oakman. Gordo, they've already played Winfield.
Gordo's sitting there.
No, they've already played Fayette.
Yeah, Gordo's sitting there at 1 loss. They lost to Bibb County, who is one of the
bigger school.
Yeah, it's a bigger school. It's one of the premier programs in the state. That's not a bad loss if you're Gordo. I think Gordo's ranked 2nd in the state now.
That's right.
This Oakman doesn't have a chance. It's at Oakman, and you never like to say never, but I'm gonna have to say never in this. I've got the Green Wave winning really big. I got to see Gordo play twice in person this year, or I got to see him once in person, one on TV. They played Carbon Hill, trounced them 56-14, and then the real surprise was when they beat Fayette 35-0.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. Refs kind of gave Gordo 1 touchdown, but it wouldn't have mattered.
All right, what about this? Is a tough one.
Oh, yes.
Cordova at Oak Grove, 2-5 Cordova, 3-4 Oak Grove.
But like you said, this is the best 2-win team in the whole state.
About to be the best 3-win team. Let's hope.
That's what I'm going to say because Oak Grove, it seems like, is an honorary member of the county because they play so many county teams. And I don't guess we're done with them yet. They get Carbon Hill to end the season.
That's right.
So
they've made their run through the county.
They have. They are seeing a lot of Walker and Winston. And they've also seen Corner, which is Jefferson. But nonetheless, I've got
Cordova.
Yeah. I've got Cordova winning this one pretty big. Yeah,
you were jumping to Sumiton because you already saw they're playing Tarrant. You were already picking them.
Yeah.
But we don't even need to talk about that.
No,
Tarrant is awful. I've seen them this year.
You have, haven't you?
Yeah, and they're not very good.
No, they did get one win though against Talladega County Central, who
another team I saw this year.
Yeah, Sony Christian played them, so it's kind of a round robin.
That's true.
Sony Christian's gonna get the sweep in that one.
All right, we have Corner at Curry. Corner's got to win this one to keep pace, and I don't see any trouble there.
I don't. It's at Curry, and Curry can give you a tough run this year. They're not the easy out they used to be. I still think the Yellow Jackets are gonna win, and by Yellow Jackets, Corner. Not Curry, unfortunately.
Yes, I agree.
Corner, they're 6-1. I love what DJ Emerson's doing in Curry, but not much of a chance here.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Okay, Meek at Vina, 7-0, 0-6. This is pretty. Do we even need to talk about this?
Yeah, next game, Meek's going to win by about, I would say, what you want to say, 30 touchdowns or 40?
I'm guessing probably 60 points on the board.
I would say that at halftime. You can see a 61-0 halftime.
Yeah, Vina,
Put it on.
Gosh, one of the worst teams in the state.
Second half might be 1 minute running clock.
Talladega County Central needs to play Vina.
That would be a good game.
Somebody's got to.
Your final score is going to be 3-2. Well, no, you can't kick a field goal. They probably don't kick field goals.
2-0.
2-0. Let's go. Who would get the win though?
Ooh, I don't know. Ooh, probably Talladega County Central.
I would pick Vina.
That would be that's a shame, really.
Yeah. We should be in charge of scheduling for the AHSAA.
Yes,
we would have some good games.
We'd have it to where at least one of these teams would not have a losing streak.
Exactly.
No? Speaking of losing streak, Berry at Lynn. This is kind of like the previous game. Berry did win a game this year.
They pulled off a win. The one win I thought they would have was Curry. They didn't get that one. That's Curry
true.
broke their long streak since I was 9 years old. Barry, now they just need to rebound and beat Lynn. Well, unfortunately for Barry and fortunately for Lynn, that ain't happening.
No way.
Yeah, Lynn, it's at Lynn. It's going to be pretty ugly.
This is interesting. Addison at Faultville. That could be
a
trip-up game.
It's one of those classic trip-up games. I mean, it's on the road. I mean, Faultville, you're 4-3. When you see a 4-3 team, I hadn't studied this, but I mean, they're probably fighting for a playoff spot. Faultville is, and Addison, they've already got it clinched. I mean, Faultville, I think, could pull this one off, but I'm going to err on the side of caution here and pick Addison.
Yeah, I will as well. And also in this last game, Aliceville, Winston County's quarterback is out again.
Yeah, this is when you have injuries, you want to have a cupcake team like Vina or Talladega County Central. You don't want Aliceville, who is one of the best teams in the state. They're one of the best teams you'll play. Yeah, I think Aliceville's going to pull this one out. And I hate it for Winston County because this is a really good team. And then to get bit by the injury bug, it's never fun.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be 3rd or 4th in the region.
Yeah.
All right, so we're done with high school. Let's jump to a little Alabama and Auburn talk here.
All right.
You were at the A&M game.
Yes, I was.
And,
I was hoarse for about 2 days after that.
Yeah, a lot of people were yelling at that game.
And yeah, Sunday morning, about 100,000 people woke up with no voice.
And was it worth it, though? I mean, they won, so, right?
I mean, when you
Hold
go
them at
back
the
and
2-yard
think
line?
about it, yeah, you stop them at the 2-yard line. I just thinking about it, one bad play call away from losing that.
Yeah.
I mean,
see, Auburn was about 30 bad play calls from losing their game.
And, yeah, we know who called the bad plays.
So, why was that game so close? I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, Bryce Young didn't play.
4 fumbles, or 4 turnovers.
4 turnovers. And
3 by the quarterback, Milroe, right?
Nick Saban comes out and says, well, he played with anxiety. And, I mean, this is a revenge game. Everybody knew this was going to be the big game coming in. Even with Texas A&M 2-loss, 3-2 unranked, that's what it was last year. Granted, this game was in Tuscaloosa. If it was at Kyle Field, A&M would have definitely won, and won handedly.
To come down to the 2-yard line, the last play of the game, that's what you want every game.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you didn't.
I mean, all the games you watch on TV, you want a good game. They get to be a blowout. The one game you want to be ugly is close.
Incredible. Johnny Manziel was not happy with that play call, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
You think what do you give Tennessee's chances this week?
Depends on if Bryce Young plays. If Bryce Young plays, don't think Alabama's going to have much of a problem because Tennessee's defense has not really come to life. I think Tennessee's best defensive performance against a Power 5 team was against Pitt.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's probably the best team they've played this year, too. I mean,
and Pitt lost to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, who fired their coach, and they are undefeated without Jeff Collins.
You go 2-0.
Wow.
But, maybe, I mean, it's hard to believe it's been 15 years. So before you were born
I've never seen this happen before.
Never even been in your lifetime. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
None of my siblings were even alive.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. 15-year in a rivalry game.
Yeah.
So you know they're chomping at the bit here.
Yeah, it's at Tennessee.
We had a local coach say you have to win some for it to be a rivalry. And that's kind of true here.
It's still a rivalry.
It is, yeah.
It's a holiday.
Well, Georgia-Auburn is kind of like that way now.
That's
6
true.
in a row.
Well, that's true. And one of those was an SEC championship game. But this is a holiday for Alabama fans. It's called Tennessee Hate Week.
Yep.
That's an affectionate nickname.
Cigars will be brought out, the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, if we win.
Yeah, I'm going for number 16, I'm thinking. Yeah. And what do you think about Harsin? Auburn at Ole Miss. Is this, with the off week next, is this it for him?
I mean, the conversation for the past few weeks has been, is this it? I mean, if they don't fire him
this is either
already,
it or it's not.
Exactly. If they do not fire him after this week, it would take a loss against Western Kentucky to get him out before the season's over.
Drop dead date right here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's going to be there.
I do too.
I would get rid of him. I would like to see some innovative play calling and just something different.
I mean, yeah.
I know, but it's his guys doing this. I mean, the coordinators, not great hires.
There really needs to be a house cleaning at Auburn. Yeah. I mean,
I would keep a couple guys, Cornell Williams.
All right, let's say Brian Harsin gets fired today. Who do you want as your next head coach of the Auburn Tigers? Boy,
that's the thing. You couldn't hire these coordinators. They're his guys.
Exactly. And
so, I don't know. I'd give it to Cornell. Could it be any worse? Could it be worse? I don't know.
You could hire one of Vina's backup quarterbacks to be your head coach.
I mean, I think if he walked off the field during the game, it couldn't be any worse. So, with no coach. All right, so let's jump into Zach's picks. We're done with everything here.
Yeah.
So how many games you got for us this week?
Just 7 compared to 8 or 9 last week. First game, probably going to be ugly, but it's a conference game. And I said the same thing about Georgia's game against Missouri earlier in the season. It was going to be ugly, but it turned out to be close. So I'm picking this just for the fun of it. Mm-hmm. Vanderbilt, they're in Athens taking on Georgia. Georgia is only a 38-point favorite.
They'll cover that.
Definitely. It's going to be 50-something to nothing.
Ole Miss went off on them at the end there last week.
I mean, if you can't hold your consistency against Ole Miss, who's a team that's very upsettable this year, it feels like. And I'm talking about Vanderbilt. But, I mean, you had a lead on them in the second, third quarter. And then you just blow it and make it
they
that
got out of
ugly.
hand. Yeah, got way out of hand.
Yeah, I got Georgia big.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
Next game is somewhat interesting. It's LSU on the road against Florida. Florida, 2.5-point favorite. This is one of those coin flip games.
They're very similar.
They are. They're
both
really
kind of
similar.
disappointing, have big wins and bad losses.
Yeah, they're disappointing, but they're good teams.
Yeah, they're solid. Like you said, 4-2. But
Right.
I think I'll take Florida, and it's going to be close. It might be close.
LSU, you got destroyed 40-13 at home against Tennessee.
That was
and
bad.
One of those touchdowns came when nobody cared about at the end of the game.
I think LSU is about like Auburn. You look how close those teams are.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
I would take Florida.
I'm going to take Florida as well. Cover. I got Florida. Maybe a touchdown, 10 points.
Yeah, they're not great. But
they're not, no. Next game, stepping out of the conference for a quick minute. Penn State traveling to the Big House in Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. Michigan, they're touchdown favorites. This is a top 10 matchup. Penn State's at 10. Michigan, they dropped to 5 after being 4 for the entirety of the season. What do you think about this one?
I don't. Penn State, who have they really beat?
I mean,
Purdue, Auburn?
Purdue and Auburn.
And the
None
Purdue
of those
game
are
was
really
close. I mean, not that Michigan's some kind of – they hadn't played that great of a schedule either. But
they've had a cupcake schedule, and the 2 conference games that gave them a lot of trouble.
They really did.
Maryland and Indiana.
Maryland gave them a lot of trouble. So, I mean, I'm going Michigan.
Because
at Penn State, I'll probably go Penn State. Is that close?
It is pretty close. I've got Michigan by 10 just because I don't think Michigan's offense is that great. Their running back coach, I mean, he's not going to be coaching. He had a seizure on the sideline last week. So I think Michigan's going to come out playing less than average, but still going to get the win because Penn State is really overrated.
Yeah, kind of 5-0. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's one of those 5-0 teams that you're not going to pick them to make the playoffs or anything like that. If they won, I'd be surprised. All right, next game, also going to stand out of the conference for this one. Oklahoma State on the road in Fort Worth. It's TCU. TCU 4-point favorite. Oklahoma State always pick against the spread because if Oklahoma State's favored, they're going to throw the game. If not, they always pull it out, it feels like.
I know you're an Oklahoma State fan. You probably pull for them here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm going TCU, but Oklahoma State, I never pick them, and they always win.
Exactly.
I mean, that's one of my teams like that. So who do you got in this one?
I've got Oklahoma State just because TCU is favored. Because
See, there you go.
Exactly.
See?
Because
you couldn't do it.
I mean, TCU wins by a touchdown against a backup quarterback for Kansas named Jason
That was
Bean.
really close. Yeah, that's true.
I watched Jason Bean play 2 plays, and I turned it off because it was just nauseating. He pitches it back to his running back, and it goes wide. Next play, he just throws it over the middle, and it gets picked off by a linebacker who turns around, and it's in his lap.
And they still could have won that game.
And they still should have won that game.
With Bean.
Man, oh, man. I'm going to pick Oklahoma State in this one.
I can see that.
And, hey, Kansas, they're playing Oklahoma, another big game this week. Not going to pick that. Back in the SEC, Arkansas, they have a long road trip to Utah. They've got BYU.
Very strange matchup.
And Arkansas's a 1.5-point favorite on the road.
Boy, that's tough.
Yeah.
BYU's lost to what? Notre Dame and Oregon.
Yeah, Notre Dame and Oregon. Those
beat Baylor.
They did beat Baylor. And that was a surprise.
Yeah, big time for me. So, boy, I guess I'm going Arkansas, but I don't feel good about
BYU. I'm going to go BYU. I mean, it's at home if you're BYU. I mean, Arkansas, I don't think they can pull it out.
Right?
SEC teams never do well out west, though, it feels like.
That's really out west.
Too far out west, really. I hope this is a home and home, though, because I want to see BYU go to
I bet it is. I bet it will.
Yeah, we've seen a lot more home and homes this year. I like them. All right, next game. Another pretty good one. I know you have a lot of interest in this. Auburn, Ole Miss. It's at Ole Miss. 14.5-point favorite, the Rebels are. Do you see Auburn pulling a stunner here?
No, I really think they might upset somebody. I don't know who that's going to be.
Auburn always does this upset.
Well, they beat Ole Miss last year, but this year's team is much worse. I'll probably take them. I'll take Ole Miss and to cover.
I will take them to
late.
cover,
I think they'll kind of be like last week.
I think it's going to be kind of close.
Georgia.
First half, right, and then I think Ole Miss will win by 21. All right, now the biggest game of the week. College game day is there. A lot of us here in Walker County have a lot of interest in it. Alabama, 7.5-point favorite on the road against Tennessee. Top 10 matchup. This is the highest Tennessee's been ranked heading into the third Saturday in October since 1999 when they were ranked 5th. And they won that game, too, 21-17 against the number 10 Alabama. And so here in the present, we have Alabama ranked 3rd after being 1st for the past week. And they bounced between 1st and 2nd. And now they're dropping to 3rd. Yeah, and Tennessee's up to 6th. They jumped USC. Maybe that was just trying to build up this game.
Yeah, probably. They do that.
Alabama, 7.5 with a quarterback that's questionable. You struggled at home against Texas A&M in what should have been a revenge game that was absolutely ugly. I mean, do you think Bryce Young is going to start?
I do, but even if you just take away the mistakes Alabama made last week, they'll probably win easily.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say they take away those mistakes and Young starts, and they cover that line.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised it is that much.
I'm surprised it's at 7.5 as well. I think Alabama is going to have Bryce Young playing, but I don't think he's going to be at 100%. And I think Tennessee's got home field advantage, so I think it's going to be close. But, I mean, I have Alabama winning. I think Alabama wins by probably a touchdown. I mean, so 7.5-point spread is kind of right on there. A little too close for comfort. Not as close as the 2009 game against Tennessee, but still, I've got Bama to pull this one out.
Yeah, I do too. I think there's going to be 16 straight, which is unbelievable.
16's and I think after this test, I don't think Tennessee's going to put much up against Alabama for another few years because Tennessee's going to have to rebuild after this. I mean, Hendon Hooker, he may be a Heisman candidate, but I mean, he's graduating.
Great season. Yeah, he is gone.
Yeah, Tennessee is. This is going to be their one and done year for being big, and I mean, if they could beat Alabama, let's say they do. I mean, that makes their whole season. They can lose out, and this is the greatest Tennessee team of all time.
Kind of like Texas A&M last year.
Oh, yes.
Then they lose 4 games, but everybody remembers the win.
It's big because they beat Alabama. Don't think it's going to happen. Got the Tide rolling in this one, and that's all I got.
Things get back to normal this week.
I hope so.
All right, well, thanks for those picks again, Zach. And that wraps up the DME PrepZone show presented by Bevill State. And with Zach McCullar, I'm Johnathan Bentley. See you next week.